My name is Ted Lemon, and with my wife Heidi, we own Littorai Wines, which is a small Pinot Noir and Chardonnay producer in western Sonoma County. One of the things that distinguishes our current wine growing philosophy from what one might think of as the traditional European approaches is our commitment to alternative farming. In other words, we are we use only organic materials in all of the sites that we own farm and most of the ones from which we purchase fruit. And we also farm in a way called biodynamic farming, which is in some senses beyond organic, into an attempt to work with the rhythms of the cosmos. And you might say, well, what does that mean? You might think in very simple terms of planting before the full moon if you're going to plant seeds. So trying to work with the natural rhythms is one way to describe it. I had worked as an employee for several years in the wine business, first in Burgundy, where I was employed for 4 years, and then in Napa Valley for a total of 7. And then after that experience, my wife Heidi and I decided, you know what, it really would be fun to have our own project and do our own thing. So we spent almost a year looking at sites for Pinot Noir and Chardonnay along the west coast of the United States, meaning all the way from Washington down to the Mexican border. And we decided that this area that we're now in, western Sonoma County, had the most, what you might call untapped or unrealized potential for those two varieties in the western United States. Not necessarily the greatest potential, in the sense that I'm not a great believer that there are wine regions that are simply better than others, but that there was more to explore and more to uncover here than perhaps in the Willamette Valley, which we actually knew a great deal more about in the early 1990s than we did about western Sonoma. And so this is where we settled, and everything that we produce is from this general region. And the vast majority of that is vineyard designated, meaning that it has the name of the individual vineyard from which it comes on the label of the wine. Sort of a free agent at Brown. I wasn't particularly entrenched in either the language community or the theater community, both of which I was involved in, but I was not, I felt very free and independent, and I think that ability to navigate different environments is really important. It was a great lesson for me, and really has helped us enormously at Littorai, because it's hard for, I can tell you a really brief story about a friend who was the CFO of a Fortune 500 company who went into the wine business. And I remember I consulted for this guy for years. I went into his office about 2 years after he'd started. And this is a very successful Fortune 500 company that had grown from nothing to be very successful. So it wasn't an Exxon or an established. So these guys had really brought this company up themselves, this one small group of guys. And I walked into his office, and his office is covered with paperwork everywhere. The place is a mess. And he looks up from what he's doing, and he looks at me and goes, I don't know how you people in the wine business do it. Meaning that you have to serve so many masters. You're a farmer, you're a manufacturer, you have a strictly controlled alcoholic beverage, which has a set of completely different competing rules in all 50 states, much less in foreign countries. You have to sell that wine directly to consumers, as well as to some very large organizations that distribute all over the place. And it requires a certain degree of Mr. Fix-It also. You have to be a plumber, you have to be an electrician, because if you're in a small winery and your electricity goes down and the electrician can't get there for 8 hours and it's the middle of harvest, you got to figure it out. So that ability to swim in different streams that I learned at Brown, I thought that was hugely helpful to me. The wines that we're going to bring for the Brown event in Sebastopol should be one Chardonnay and one Pinot Noir, most probably the Pinot from our estate called the Pivot, which we really like to bring because this is the integrated farm where the winery is located, and it is representative of this alternative approach to agriculture. So it's something that we believe in very deeply, and so for us, it's a very special wine. And then Chardonnay-wise, I don't think we've decided yet, but we have this wonderful older vineyard called Charles Heinz Vineyard, which is now 32 years old. planted by a fourth-generation family in western Sonoma, and it produces these wines that just age absolutely marvelously. So we thought that would be fun to bring.